Hello there, I'm called Nemesis of the Nemesis Brothers, and today we're going to continue where we last left off. In the last video we talked about Minfilia's childhood and how she discovered the power of Echo. Now, this story happens in the legacy version of Final Fantasy XIV, which was the original, but it was then literally blown up as to introduce the current version as we know today. Today we're going to continue where we left off. Now, we're going to talk about her doings in the 6th Umbral era, and how she tries to unite all of Eorzea, but ultimately fails to do so. It's quite interesting, and if you like what you hear, remember to comment, like, and spam the shit out of that subscription button. To outsiders, the Path of the 12 looked no different than the other obscure religious sects, but this one was led by a charismatic anti-descent called Minfilia. She led few who called themselves walkers as to walk the path with her, a life woven in truth. She worked closely together with the Circle of Knowing, who was then led by Louisoix. After a few years of studying the gift of Echo and discovering others who wielded the same powers, she started to teach how to better control that power. In the legacy version of the game, the power called Echo had many defining powers. For example, it could see in the past, we could read other people's minds, and also it acted as a PS meter against the primal influence. But in Realm Reborn we really don't see it in action anymore, as it only has one power and it pretty much works as a PS meter against the primal influence. One day she met with a certain person, who became the greatest warrior in all of Eorzea. We know of them as the Warriors of Light. When she learns that the adventurer possesses the same gift as her, she insists on him to join the path and to use his power for the greater good. Afterwards, Minfilia sends the adventurer to investigate Garlean activities in Black Shroud and to meet with the Ashgran Consortium. It's an organization created by Sylphs in order to distribute elemental crystals between the three dominant beastmen tribes, the Sylphs, XIV, and the Malcha. After the adventurer returns from Ashgran Consortium, it came to light that the Garlean Empire has announced all of Eorzean beastmen tribes as the enemies of Eorzea, and all who possess the power of Echo to be heretics. The reasoning why Garlean saw so much danger in the beastmen tribes was because they wanted to summon their beast gods, or as we know of them, primals. After Minfilia hears of such news, she became desperate, as the announcement meant invasion from the Empire. She calls all of the walkers to return to their headquarters in order to find a way how to protect Eorzea of her newfound enemies. After long debates and arguments, she asks of a radical idea. An idea to unite all of Eorzea under one banner, and that banner would also include beastmen tribes. Naturally, most of the walkers disagreed with her notion, as such idea as if to work as one with beastmen was insane, and how could they be introduced to the society of other races? The adventurer was among few who gave her radical idea a chance. She sends an adventurer to discuss the alliance treaty with the Amalcha, but when the adventurer arrives at the beastmen tribes, he was quickly captured and sent to a cleansing ritual, which is basically a brainwashing ritual. In Realm Reborn it's referred as the influence of the primals. Once the primal Ifrit, who is the beast god of Amalcha, discovered that the adventurer possesses the gift of Echo, he starts explaining that even the adventurer could summon their own primal, although Ifrit did not recommend doing so, as that would mean competition. Later he allowed the adventurer to leave once he has announced loyalty to him, and promised never to summon his primal. This news shattered all of Minfilia's plans to invite the beastmen tribes to alliance with the city-states. She was later contacted by Alamican resistance members and asked her aid in order to prepare a special operation against the Garlean Empire. But ultimately that plan failed, as all of Alamican resistance forces were annihilated by the Empire. Minfilia reminded adventurers and the others that fighting against the Empire with one city-state was a suicide, and that they needed the support of beastmen tribes. At this point her story abruptly ends, as I really have no idea what she did next, as there is no information, but I guess what she tried to do was to find other means as how to get the help of beastmen. Later when she discovered the death of Neil von Darnus, now he is the commanding officer of the invasion forces. He was a very patriotic man who loved his country. Neil von Darnus, raised to power, was filled with controversies. People thought that he killed his father in order to take his place. That fact was later reinforced when he executed all the people who knew about the circumstances of his father's death. When the emperor announced his ambition to Eorsa, he ordered Neil von Darnus to invade the land. Because of what the emperor said, he truly believed that it was the divine intervention, purification of the land from all the pagans. This idea drove him insane, to the point where he was the sole reason of the calamity, as he brought down the smaller moon called Talamot. He was later defeated by a group of adventurers. The smaller moon Talamut kept descending, and Minfilia was at loss what to do next. She paced in her room in the waking sands, thinking that why does the moon keep descending? Is there nothing else that could be done? When suddenly there was a knock on the door. She opened the door, and there stood Louisoa, her longtime friend and the leader of the Circle of Knowing. She sent an invitation to him in order to ask his counsel as what to do next. As he entered the room and greeted Minfilia with a warm smile, the two leaders of the respective groups started discussing as what to do next. When Louisoa revealed his plan to summon the 12 and use their strength in order to stop Talamut's descent, he also added that there is a risk of him becoming a thrall to the other primals. When Minfilia heard that, she was shocked to the core. She shivered, feeling weak and cold. She had to fight the urge to rub her arms and asked, "Is there no other way?" Louisoa smiled and told her that there was no other way. If he will not return, you, Minfilia, must take up my mantle and become the leader of the Circle of Knowing. When she heard those words, she could not help but yell out, "But I'm not ready!" She turned away from her friend in order to hide the tears in her eyes. She asked if the others knew of his plans, which he explained that they knew enough. He stepped closer to Minfilia and said in a softer voice, "Darker days lie ahead. But know that where there is darkness, there will always be light." He continued, "You will see the truth of this, Minfilia, when one who bears the light comes to stand before you, one who is gifted like you. Together, you will greet the dawn." Minfilia could do nothing else but to look into the eyes of Louisoa, as she heard her own voice in the head. "Please come back to us, please." Louisoa was to her as if a father. When the calamity ended, Louisoa sacrificed his life in order to defeat the Bahamut, the elder primal, who was locked in the Talamut, which was constructed by ancient Allagan Empire. After when things calmed down, she called together the Path and the Circle of Knowing and proposed they should unite and become known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. Shortly after unification of two groups, she got word from the leader of Britannia that she has recovered Tupsimati, the Louisoa staff. When Minfilia heard that her friend's staff was recovered, she quickly hurried to Britannia, where the leader of Britannia gave her the staff to be returned to the Waking Sands, where she mounted behind her desk in order to remember her friend and her duty to the land, to stop all of the primals and to find a way how to stop the Empire's invasion. She waited for 5 years, until one day, a stranger stepped into her room, and she knew the moment she saw that stranger that the one who Louisa prophesied would come is here, and she thought to herself, I am ready.